Fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Football is back, the Serie is back, and what a weekend for Napoli. We go to Venice, tough ground to play at. The field is about 3 meters less wide, so thinner, so makes it very hard for teams like Napoli that like to use the full length and width of the field. But we go there, we get 2 goals. First with Air Victor, second with Petagnone, 2-0. Inter lose against Milan in the last 10 minutes of their derby game. 2 goals by Olivier Giroud in 4 minutes. Atalanta lose against a struggling Cagliari. All the results go in Napoli's favor. You couldn't ask for a better weekend if you were a Napoli fan. Now, obviously, guys, one thing before I start talking about this game is that Juventus have bought Vlahovic, and they're only 5 points behind Napoli if they win their game today. We gotta look out, forward for sure. I mean, if we beat Inter next week, then our focus has to be on top spot. But let's not get too carried away. There's so many games still to go. But what a performance. What a performance. Not so much what we did on the field, but more mentally, because as the game was progressing, especially when we got to the second half and it was still 0-0, you could tell that it was going to be tough to score, but they kept their focus, they kept insisting, and Victor Osimhen, he only needs a chance and a half and he'll get you a goal. Luckily we got him that clear chance and he took advantage of it. Now, a lot of you guys in the chat, make sure you are smashing that like button because it's an important win by Napoli. As I said, it's one of the toughest grounds to go and get a result. Other teams have stumbled against Venezia, so it's important that we did this. And then the next game is against Inter, who have just lost their derby, and what a way to lose their derby. I'm sure psychologically it'll hit them quite strongly. Now, sorry, I need a bit of coffee here. It's actually to calm me down. Yeah. So let's see some of the chat. Forza Napoli, great 3 points away. Now we need to prepare for next weekend's clash with Inter at home, says SSC Napoli Insiders IG. So I guess you can find this guy on Instagram. Lawrence Moore 14 is saying, what's up Dom, what's up Lawrence. Maximus 1318 saying, finally getting healthy and next week Zambo and Koulibaly are back. Guys, note on Koulibaly, he has captained Senegal to the AFCON final. They're playing tonight against Egypt. All of you guys, in about 2 hours and a half, go tune in to that game because hopefully we see our boy Kalidou lifting some silverware for the first time this year. Salvatore Di Brita is saying top 3 separated by 1 point, need to take control of the race next week. 100%. Now, a lot of you guys will be saying, oh, but Inter, they've got a game in hand, so actually it's 4 points, it's not 1. But as I always say, when you've got a game in hand, first you got to play it. And then maybe you win it. But a lot of you guys are pretending like Inter are just going to automatically win that game. Couldn't be further from the truth. Anytime you start a game of football, you have the possibility of winning, losing, or drawing. So, Inter, whilst, yes, they do have a game in hand, let's not pretend as if it's automatically 4 points. For now, it's 1 point, and then potentially, before they recover that game, they could find themselves in a different position in that table. Let's not forget that Inter also have some midweek action against Roma, who must be super frustrated with having drawn against Genoa and their goal came in the 95th minute, but it was cancelled by VR, and Zaniolo got a red card. So they'll be going hard against Inter. It's going to be maybe their one-way ticket to silverware this year, or their only chance for silverware this year. So, Inter have to put on a really good team against Roma if they want to beat Roma, which means, that's an extra 90 minutes in their legs before the Napoli game. Then they've got Liverpool to think about. Yes, we have Barcelona to think about afterwards, but for sure, Inter's game against Liverpool is slightly harder. So, we play Inter at an ideal time where they've got tough games. They've just lost the derby, so I couldn't ask for a better way to face Inter. Lorenzo Libutti saying next game Napoli is getting wrecked. So Lorenzo is a good friend of mine, but unfortunately he's an Inter fan. But I know he's low-key a Napoli fan. But yeah, for sure it's going to be a good game. Lawrence Moore saying Kalidou going to pocket Salah like he did in the Champions League. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Koulibaly against Salah. I think Koulibaly, Senegal in general deserves the trophy. They've conceded 1 goal in this whole competition. I thought Egypt got a bit lucky in some of their games. They went to extra time against, I think it was Tunisia. Then they got to penalties against Cameroon. They haven't convinced as much as Senegal. So I hope Koulibaly wins it for Senegal, and they've got a very good team. They've got Mendy in goal, Koulibaly in defense, Sadio Mane in attack. This team of Senegalese players deserves silverware for the talent that they have in that team. So I'm going to be Team Senegal later tonight. Michael Champ is saying, got to take advantage of Inter losing to Milan and being tired from Coppa Italia. Yes, this is the best chance that we have at beating Inter. We play at home. They've got tough games before and after. Psychologically, some could say they could be angered by the fact that they lost against Milan, but actually I think that they're going to feel almost depleted at the fact that they lost against Milan, and it's going to be very difficult for them to switch on against Napoli. I also think Inzaghi, when he plays against Napoli, doesn't have the best of records. I was speaking about this with my uncle before the game, and if you look at Inzaghi's record against Napoli, it's not great. And even in the last, what he was saying was that in the last 10 minutes of Inter-Napoli, Napoli should have scored 2 or 3 goals. Inter didn't understand anything what was going on in those last 20 minutes. So hopefully Napoli can get a better result than what we did on the first game. And in the first game, I thought the loss was a bit unfair. Antonio Tonti is saying, it seemed a few weeks ago everyone gave up on the Scudetto. Now they're singing a different tune. Forza Napoli sempre. 100%, guys. That's how fast football changes. That's why we gotta also, what I said 5 minutes ago, we gotta also watch out for Juventus, because, guys, 5 points behind us. Okay, if they win tonight, 5 points is not a lot. They're technically, I think, still with a shout of the title. If they can somehow manage to get that team working around Vlahovic, that could be something. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I wouldn't put my money on it, but, there's that 5% chance where actually, Juventus could have something to say in the title race. If anything, they've still got to play against Inter, for example, and it's amazing the fact that Inter have to play against Juventus with Vlahovic, whereas we already played against Juventus and Vlahovic wasn't there. So we don't have to worry about that. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen in the next few weeks, which is going to make it a very, very interesting season from now on. Let's read some more comments. Lobotka, better than Iniesta, says Max. Cleto saying, glad Osimhen is back on the score sheet. Honestly, seeing Osimhen back, not only on the score sheet, but in the starting 11 was fantastic for all of us to see, I think. His enthusiasm, the way he put his body on the line, it was really, really good to see that he's recovering and that he's, let's say, fully recovered now that we've got to play against Inter. So, Yeah, it's good to have him back right when we need him against Inter, against Barcelona. It's gonna be some good games coming up between now and let's go take a look at what the next games are. Let me change the slide here. So we've got Inter, then we got 2 games against Barcelona. We've got a game against Cagliari, which is always heated when we go to Cagliari. For some reason, Cagliari thinks that we're rivals. I don't understand this, but for them, it's a massive game, which means for us, it's got to be a massive game. We've got to give it 110%. We play then against Maurizio Sarri's Lazio in Rome, and then we have Milan. So the 6th game after that is against Milan. So between now and the 6th of March, so we've got 30 days, or maybe 28 days because it's February. We've got, is it a leap year, actually? Is it a leap year? Is it a leap? No, it's not a leap year. So we got 28 days between now, the 6th of February, and the 6th of March, where we have everything to play for. We've got huge games. After that, it's going to be a little bit easier. Obviously, if we progress to the Europa League, we've got tough games there as well. But Barcelona is by far one of the strongest teams there. I mean, the only other team that I can think of is at our level is Borussia Dortmund. Sevilla kind of is on that level. I mean, it's tough to face them if we get to the final because it's in Sevilla. But other than that, I think Napoli, the next few weeks are going to be the toughest of the year. And it seems like we've got everyone fully fit. The team has won their recent matches. So, guys, I'm hopeful. Honestly. I'm very hopeful. Let's see some more comments. Sport TV 24. Timar saying Osimhen, what a player. So shout out to Sport TV. I think you guys are based in Nigeria. So yeah, I'm sure you're glad that Osimhen has steered Napoli to victory. Smash that like button if you like the cover of this video, guys, because I spent a whole 12 minutes on it. I understand that maybe it wasn't the best piece of art, but I tried. So please show your love for a Napoli content creator, even though the content's maybe not that good, especially when it comes to templates. Maybe if this channel blows up and maybe at that point I can hire one of you to be my template creators. Maria Federica Di Peso, bravo Domenico, un saluto da Napoli anche da Fabrizio. Ciao Fede, ciao Fabrizio. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. Anthony Giampaolo saying that Insigne for Mertens change could have happened earlier, to be honest. Yeah, so let's go to the player ratings, which is something that I don't usually do. I usually do the analysis before the player ratings, but let's go to the player ratings and talk about that. First off, Payman Dadgar is donating £4.49, so thank you, Payman Dadgar, for your support of this channel. I super appreciate that. And he says, let's forget about Europe. Scudetto is what we want. Insigne and Mario Rui, disappointing. So Insigne disappointing, yes, I agree, as well with Zielinski. I think we had very little creativity up front today. And again, Insigne, if you go on whoscored.com and you look at his stats, he's got a whole host of misplaced passes, which is, he's just not at the level that he was last year. And now there's no excuses because his contract's been finalized with Toronto. He has no business, being distracted. So he should just give it everything. And he's just not able to produce to the level that he did last year. And I think at this point, maybe it's a good thing that Napoli didn't renew him for the amount that he wanted, which was over $4.5 million. I think it would have been maybe a waste of money. But as for Mario Rui and the whole defense, I'm going to give them a 6.5 because, guys, this is yet another clean sheet. I lose count. Maybe it's 13. It's either 12 or 13 clean sheets, which is amazing. It's amazing what this defense is doing. And if you think that we're doing this without Koulibaly, without Manolas. And I know a lot of you guys saying, okay, Manolas, he was pretty bad. But guys, we started the season, pre-season, thinking that Manolas was going to be the guy to accompany Koulibaly, right, in defense. That's how we started the season. Pre-season, we thought our starting defenders would be Koulibaly, Manolas. But to actually play the majority of the games without either of them and being okay to send Manolas off, you know, it's great credit to them. Juan Jesus and Rahmani really, really stepped up. Mario Rui really stepped up compared to last year defensively. Di Lorenzo, what can we say about Di Lorenzo? He's Mr. Consistent. And Ospina, I'm so glad. I'm so glad that he's in goal, because he just gives me a sense of calmness, and his reactions are great. He had two good shots. He had two good saves from two decent shots. So, you know, I'm glad that even if he might not renew for Napoli, Spalletti has decided to select Davide Ospina. In midfield, Lobotka, another fantastic performance. 97% pass accuracy, made everything tick, found it difficult in the first half to find space, but he was phenomenal yet again. Fabian Ruiz struggled a little bit today. Didn't find that shot that he sometimes finds. Didn't find that killer pass. And then Politano, I thought he was very average, but two things saved him. One, the assist to Victor Osimhen, and then the fact that defensively he covered quite well, actually. He recovered a few balls. And what can we say about Osimhen, guys? Osimhen, star of the game, 7.5, one chance, one goal. Then he had a half chance in the first half and he hit the post. Honestly, he couldn't have had a better game based on how limited Napoli was up top, with players like Insigne, Zielinski and Politano not giving him that much. So, yeah, just fantastic. And then the subs, okay, Elmas, Gulam and Demme were okay. They didn't really change anything in the game, but Petagna and Mertens, they came on, they changed the game. Petagna had a good chance. He created for himself. The goalkeeper made a good save. And then in the 100th minute, pretty much, he scored a goal with linking up with Mertens in a counter-attack. And then he got the rebound from a Mertens shot. But Mertens also did really well to follow through with and keep up with Petagna, but also to get a Venezia player red carded. Honestly, I think Mertens and Petagna, you know, they didn't come on upset that they didn't start the game. They came on and they put in a shift themselves as well. So congrats to all these guys on the team. And then Spalletti, I'm going to give him a 6 because, as someone said in the comments, I forgot who it was, I think he could have made those substitutions a little earlier. I think, you know, he waited until the 76th minute to make the first subs. I didn't think that was necessary. I think we could have done them a little bit sooner. Let's see some more comments. Anthony Giampaolo saying, can't watch the full live stream today. Thanks for always doing these, Dom. They're always amazing. Much love to the Napoli Talk family, says Anthony Giampolo. I keep calling him Giampaolo, but it's actually Giampolo now that I read his name accurately. So thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. And have fun with whatever you've got going on, which is not Napoli Talk. It must be something hella fun. Jesse Comito Gianni saying, I wonder what our record is with and without Osimhen. Every time he plays, we're in title contention, it seems. Let's just say when Osimhen plays, if you can give him a good chance, then you've got a very high chance of scoring. I think we did somewhat well without him in the past few weeks because Petagna and Mertens stepped up. But at the start, when he was missing, Napoli really did struggle. I'm sure, though, our record is better with Osimhen, 100%. And yeah, as Sport TV is saying, you know, he's a classic number 9. And by the way, they're in Sweden, so I got that completely wrong, thinking that they were in Nigeria. But anyways, Osimhen over David, says Michael Simi. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Who's David or David? Anyways, ID Beats is saying, so angry with Spalletti for not making a substitution till the 100th minute. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why he did that, to be honest. I think though, if there's one reason that stands out for me, is that this was such a heated game in terms of intensity, and in terms of you've got to make sure that the spaces between the players are right, because otherwise you could get caught out. And we were doing pretty well. So, it was a risk introducing new players into that context. Obviously, at some point you have to make that decision to introduce new players, but if you can prolong it, then why not? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, 2-0, so it doesn't matter that much. But yeah, good to see anyways that Spalletti can rely on people like Petagna and Mertens even when they come off the bench with 10 minutes to go essentially. When would Chucky Lozano return from injury, says Michael Champ? I think maybe middle of March. They saying between a month and 2 months. So yeah. Payman Dagger saying, agree on Zielinski too, but he makes it up for it in other games. Madarui was very poor too. Many mistakes. Fair point with Madarui. I just wanted to give a good score to all the defenders because of the clean sheet. But yeah, Zielinski, he's had some very good games this year. This one, he's below his average, which is why he gets a 5.5. Whereas Insigne is a completely different topic. Insigne has just not performed this year. I'm sorry what anyone says, but very little assists, very little goals, very little contribution and quality. Even today, just didn't really. He's a very good player. That's the thing. We know what we can expect from Insigne, and he's just not delivered that this season. Sufu Skoba is saying, have you heard that Jeff Bezos doesn't want to buy Napoli, but only wants to help the infrastructure of the city in general? So, the whole thing about Jeff Bezos, guys, is, so we don't need to look at the player ratings anymore, but the whole thing about Jeff Bezos and Napoli is this, okay? Napoli has a very important port in the Mediterranean, a port where you can ship goods. And Jeff Bezos is in the industry of shipping goods with Amazon. So it's in his interest to want to buy the port of Naples. That's my understanding of what he's trying to do. He wants to, if not buy the entire port, get some privileged access to this port, and sort of make Naples into a hub for Amazon, for things coming in. Now, whether that then leads to him investing in the football club, that's a different story. It could be, because if you invest in the football club, then you can enhance that partnership between Napoli and Amazon even further. And, if you make Napoli a very, very, very competitive team that's gunning for Champions League football, and it's got, the Amazon sponsor on it and all that, and, it's Jeff Bezos' team, then, I wonder if that helps Amazon in some shape or way. It could also help him, get the fans, get Napoli citizens on his side. So even if he does make Napoli into like a city where we've got like Amazon stuff everywhere, then people are like, yeah, but you know what, like whatever. I mean, he's cool. Like he's helping Napoli out, So maybe it's like a thing to like do that, but yeah, I mean, for sure his priority is more about Amazon rather than, I'm just going to get into football because I like football. It's all got to do with Amazon, essentially. Highbury 10 is saying that Osimhen bat mask is hilarious. Thank you for noticing the details. I think 14 out of 24 clean sheets without Koulibaly and Manolas. Agree, incredible. Most chances of Venezia came from Rui mistakes. Fair enough. I will have to review Rui's performance and see if that's actually the case. Guilherme Castillo is saying Napoli campione italiano, forza Napoli. So Guilherme, I think is how you pronounce it. I think is maybe joining us from either Spain or South America. Let me know where you guys are joining from. It's cool to see all you guys from all around the world. Brian Woods, only 6.5 for Ospina. Yeah, I mean, he did have 2 good saves, but I think the first one was kind of directly at him, and the second one was you kind of expect him to make it. It's still like a good score, 6.5. But I don't think he had like a world-class save. If he had a world-class save, then maybe I would have given him a 7 or 7.5. But yeah, maybe a 7. Maybe a 7. I think Brian is right. Maybe Ospina does deserve a 7. But it's going to be interesting to see if Ospina renews with Napoli or not. Blue Line is saying defense was very good today. Nice to see the clean sheet. I wanted to see more goals, but this win is fine for me. Yeah, it's 100% the case with me as well. Obviously, we want to see more goals. We want to see more action. But at the end of the day, right, as long as we get the 3 points, that's all that matters. So, I mean, if we go to the analysis of the game, guys, we can see how difficult Venezia made it for Napoli today. And I think a lot of the issues arise because the field is much thinner than other places, which means that you've not got the width to play with. And it means that Venezia could come at you and then you didn't have solutions going wide. You could only really try to outplay them by going long. So we see that, for example, in the 10th minute here, especially at the start of the games, these teams like to, press really high, try to squish Napoli, try to give the impression that they're going to play more offensively, even though later on in the game they start backing off. But this is how they started the game. Venezia, super forward. You've got 7 Venezia players pressing Juan Jesus. And as I said, there's not really that width to stretch them out, to find a pass laterally. So one of the midfielders, in this case Lobotka, had to move out and position himself ahead of this Venezia pressing line, and then it was up to Juan Jesus or Rahmani or whoever was in defense to then pick out an accurate pass. However, we didn't do this very well in the first half because oftentimes this pass would be a little too long and we'd basically have to collect it on a header, and it would give enough time for a Venezia defender to close in and then out jump Lobotka, for example, and then we'd be stuck again with or we'd basically not manage to get out of that pressing situation. However, sometimes we did do that, so it was 50-50, but yeah, we did struggle compared to other places that we have played. Another aspect was so in that situation when we were pushed in the corner, they went hard on us in terms of pressure. When instead Napoli was trying to build, and it was a bit more of a calm situation, like just Rahmani and Juan Jesus have the ball, but they're not pushed into like their own box. Venezia didn't put pressure on the defenders. Instead, what they did, they put a lot of pressure onto Lobotka. They didn't let Lobotka play in the first half. They tried to keep 2 players on him, but regardless, Lobotka still managed to get an insane number of touches of the ball. So he managed to find ways to get around that pressing, which is incredible. I really like how Lobotka's playing, but I think we really struggled in the first half. And I think that we needed someone like Zielinski or Fabian, I think, to help out Rahmani a little more in trying to find a pass. Because what would happen would be that no one would come to support Rahmani, which means Rahmani had to go with the ball upwards, and it takes you several seconds to do that as opposed to a 1-second pass. So it was slowing the game down considerably, having the defenders carry the ball instead of getting someone from the midfield to support with a pass. And let's talk about why also we didn't ever really stretch Venezia's defense. I think Osimhen's positioning today was not amazing. So you can see here, Juan Jesus has the ball on the left-hand side, but Osimhen is waiting on the right-hand side. Now, you can't really make a run from that position. You're on opposite sides of the field. What Osimhen needed to do was, I think Osimhen needed to be in between the defenders that I highlighted there, basically where the X is. That way, and Jesus could get the ball over the top, and Osimhen could make that quick run in behind the defense. But because Osimhen was positioned diagonally across from Juan Jesus, he was never going to be in a situation where Venezia would get stretched out. And so because Venezia were not getting stretched, then we found it very difficult to find space in between their lines. Whereas if Osimhen was in that position, then they would have had to watch out for that run, and they would have had to stretch themselves out a little more. We did have a few chances, guys, in the first half. Insigne with a weak left foot effort, Politano with a right foot volley. Again, like 2 chances in really good positions, but neither of them happened to fall on the right foot of these players, both on their weak feet. But you do expect them to do a little better in these situations regardless. And obviously Osimhen hit the post, as I said before. Now, Osimhen had no right to, I think, even get anywhere close to hitting the target here, but he managed to make himself some space and hit the post. So it showed that he was really on it, and you just felt that maybe a goal was going to come from Osimhen today because of that. Daniel Bowen is in the house. Thank you for the €10 donation. Next Saturday is going to be so huge, Dom. Is it on Saturday or is it on Sunday, actually? Let me check 1 second. When the Napoli-Inter game, it is on Saturday, you're right. 12th of February, they moved it to the 12th instead of the 13th. You are right. Thanks for reminding me, Daniel. And shout out for, the €10. Thank you again so much for supporting the channel. That goal for Victor was super important tonight. What a unique experience seeing a match in Venezia. That's true, Daniel. You were in Venezia. I saw on Twitter you were on Venezia, always supporting the team. What an away game to go and watch. Very jealous of you, Daniel, for having gone there. I mean, what an experience it must be to arrive in Venezia, maybe with the train or whatever, then having to take a little boat and having to do all these things, and then going to play against Venezia, which is not something that we usually do. Venezia are not usually in the Serie A. Such a crazy experience. So, but congrats on being there. Mad. I hope it doesn't happen, says ID Beats, but I don't know what he's referring to. About Ospina going to Juve. Nah, Ospina's not going to go to Juve. Peymandego saying, I am in London because you asked, Dom. We need the Scudetto. 32-year wait is enough. Forza Napoli. Sempre. Shout out to everyone in London. That's pretty close to where I am. About half an hour away. Their pitch is small, as says Wendell Sam. Yeah, it's a tiny field. Honestly. It's difficult to play against this field. You think 3 meters less is not a lot, but it actually is. It changes the geometries of all your passing in a crazy way. IDB is saying, I heard Venezia as a city are suffering a lot due to global warming. Yes, they are. Lots of flooding, which is very ironic that they, throughout the whole game, the Venezia fans were chanting Vesuvius chants against the Napoli, whereas they've got a serious problem when it comes to, let's say, natural disasters and what effects that could have on their city. But I'm not going to get into that, and I'm not going to wish them anything bad, because I do think Venice is an incredible city, and I hope they get that. I hope they get that system working to stop floods, because it's such a shame if Venice would sink. You know what I mean? It's not cool. Anyways, Venezia did have one chance in the first half. They fouled. I think they fouled Juan Jesus, but the ref didn't think so. Foul on Juan Jesus. Good save by Ospina, and then Mario Rui and Lobotka managed to save the day, managed to get there right in time before the Venezia players. I don't know if it was Mario Rui or Lobotka, but either way, they did a good job. Switched on, good reactions. That's what we want to see. Guys, make sure you are smashing the like button if you are liking this review and analysis of the Napoli game. But we had this chance in the first half, which was a very, very, very similar opportunity to how Napoli scored later on in the second half, where Politano receives the ball and he tries to cross it towards Osimhen, who's waiting in the far post, which is something that Osimhen was doing throughout the whole game, just waiting far post. And whilst that did work in the second half, I thought to add another element of danger to Napoli's play, I think we should have had someone that made runs from outside the box into that either central area or first post, just to give Venezia a few more problems, and also in case Politano's cross isn't accurate enough to reach the second post, which in this case it wasn't. It went to the first post. So, but there was no one there. So we've got to have that element as well. Otherwise, it's too predictable that the ball's going to go to Osimhen, and we're just relying too heavily on the fact that he's going to out-jump a defender. But if you get a defender who's as good at jumping as Victor, then, that's completely neutralized that threat, even though it's not easy to out-jump Victor. Then we had this moment where the ref absolutely destroyed one of the Venezia players, which was hilarious. Well, not hilarious because this guy got hurt, but it was pretty hilarious. And I think this is the guy who got red carded after all in the end. The Napoli medics had to go and help out and make sure that everything was working. So I tweeted that actually what they were doing here was changing the frequency on his earpiece so that instead of connecting to the VAR room, it was connected to De Laurentiis' phone. Why do I need to say that? You guys obviously already follow me on Twitter. If you don't, what are you doing? Go make an account and follow me on Napoli Talk on Twitter or Instagram, official Napoli Talk. But anyways, the second half starts, pretty quiet for the first 10-15 minutes or 10-13 minutes. But then Rahmani manages to find a really good ball in between the lines towards Zielinski, who immediately passes it to Politano. And unlike in the first half, Politano manages to get the ball in the second post. Osimhen leaps in the air, finds some space to do that, beats the defenders, and then beats the goalkeeper as well. And he's out there celebrating. Probably we might see Daniel Bowen in that picture. I don't know, Daniel, if you recognize yourself, give us a shout out. I just love his celebration. First, he pointed to the Napoli crest. Then so some people are saying he did an S. I think he was doing a Z, because from his perspective, it would be a Z, I think. It would be a Z. So I think he's doing a Z for Zorro because of his mask. But I'm just so glad that he's back scoring, and look at that smile on his face. Such a beautiful smile. Seeing Victor Osimhen scoring is just what makes me extremely, extremely happy. And then, as I said, Petagna and Mertens, they came on in the second half and they did their thing. Petagna had a good shot on target, which is honestly, we didn't have many shots on target. So congrats to Petagna for a shot on target as soon as he came on. And then Mertens got one of the players substituted again. It's the guy who broke his head against the referee, so he didn't have a very good day. And then they link up to score Napoli's second goal in the 100th minute. Petagna runs down the middle, passes it to Mertens. Mertens with a shot that gets blocked by the keeper, and then it goes back to Petagna. And Petagna actually does a pretty good job scoring this. It's not an easy goal, trying to beat the keeper from there, because he's very, very close to Petagna. And actually, if he tries to go where the goal is more open, so if he cuts across, maybe the keeper would have saved it with his hands, but he's very smart and actually going over the hip of the goalkeeper, which is a place where he has no opportunity to save it. Because it's not high, it's not close to his legs and his arms. It's just in no man's. Anyway, I don't need to explain the human anatomy to you guys. Why do I always go and try to explain stuff that I feel like I don't need to explain. Yeah, guys, I mean, the stats, right, of today's game. Okay, so we're actually we still got the Salernitana game here, so we need to change that. Let's go and change that to the Napoli Venezia game, guys. So let me change that. Apologies for not being prepared with that. There we go. Venezia, Napoli, and for some reason that's being all weird. So let me change that as well. Yeah, let's do that. All right. So if we take a look at the stats. Oh, never mind. It's not letting me. There we go. Okay. Guys, 16 shots, 67% possession, more than double the amount of passes, nearly 750. Pretty good pass accuracy for, being such a difficult game to play the ball around because the field was shorter. Venezia was pressing. They tried to keep Lobotka, under control, and yet we still have 86% possession. And we were pretty good. We matched Venezia in terms of fouls, which is something that we want to see. But yeah, here's the key. I think here's the key takeaway. Look at this offside 0, right? Now, when you've got Osimhen on the field, I'm not saying I want to see him being offside, but the fact that we didn't even get one means that we weren't trying hard enough to get him to get him past the defenders, which goes back to what I was saying in the analysis before, how maybe he wasn't positioned correctly a lot of the time. Otherwise, maybe he would have been caught offside a little bit more. It's a bit of a backwards way to look at things, but whatever. I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I mean, if we go down and look at the table, look at this performance recently by Napoli, 4 wins in a row. Inter being a little inconsistent, only 1 win in the last 3 games. Milan as well, only 1 win in the last 3 games. Atalanta, 1 win in the last 5 games. So clearly, Napoli are the more informed team at the moment, and it happens to come at the perfect time. So big game against Inter, guys. You guys already know. You guys have known this for quite some time. So yeah, let's not talk more about that Inter game because I think there will be an opportunity to do so during the week, and I don't want to jinx it too much. Instead, what I want to do is I want to take a look at some of your comments because I've been speaking for about 20 minutes without seeing what you guys have been saying. So let's see. Payment.gar, he's saying problem also is Inter matches at 5 p.m. So in stupid UK they don't show first 15 minutes. I had no idea that was the case, but that's a shocker if that's the case. ID Beats is saying, I heard Venezia City are suffering a lot to go Bowen. I already read that comment. Let me go a bit more down. Michael Simi is saying Atalanta lost in Çalhanoğlu to miss the Napoli match. That's super important. The fact that Çalhanoğlu is not going to play against Napoli. And yeah, Atalanta losing is massive as well. It just gives us a bit of breathing room. IDB is saying with a little luck and good diet, you can be up to 110 years old. So he has 80 years ahead of him, and he has to think about those. We mustn't blame him. Future of Naples always very brave. ADL on. I don't know. I'm reading ID Beats' quote, and then he doesn't say who he's talking about. But I guess we will see that because I will go over the press conference and maybe what ADL has said if he did say anything. Giannis saying in Italy you need to be vaccinated or you can attend to games as fully recovered from the virus. Someone help. You need to be triple vaccinated, I believe, Giannis. Hussein 9996 is saying the fact that we already passed this difficult stadium with a win is quite revealing. Everyone struggled there. Yep, I think Inter and Juve both struggled there. Forza Napoli. Wendell Sam, Napoli's winning the Scudetto. I don't care what people say. Yeah, let's not be super sure about it, but we're definitely in the race. Hey Dom, how many players are leaving in the summer or are going to leave due to age? Says SSC Napoli Insiders. I think there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 that leave. Obviously, we've got Insigne that's leaving. And then I think one between Meret and Ospina will leave. I think if we keep Ospina, we can't also keep Meret. We can't just keep this young goalkeeper on the sidelines forever. We have to let him go at that point. But if we instead keep Meret, then I think we let go of Ospina, because it would be a very clear demonstration that we're thinking about Meret being our goalkeeper. So those are 2 players. Those are 2 things that could change. And then I think Demme has lost his place in this Napoli midfield. He's a very good player, but I cannot see him getting many minutes ahead of Lobotka, Anguissa, or Fabian. And I do think all 3 of those will stay. I think Fabian will renew with Napoli. And then Gulam. Gulam is probably going to leave, and we're going to get the Getafe left back, or Parisi from Empoli. So that is definitely the case. IDBs is saying Napoli talk using Reddit soccer streams exposed. Nah. What, me? Streaming? Nah. Guys, that sounds super illegal and something that I would not do. So, yeah. Try to unriddle that. AT is saying, did you see that Petagna has set a new record with his goal today? Did he set a new record? I have no idea what record he set, but I wouldn't be surprised because it's Petagna, and that guy is a living legend, honestly. While I didn't believe in the chances, but Ruiz renewing would be amazing. I think he will. For the reason that he's only on 1.5 million, which means that Napoli can technically still offer him a huge bump up and it remain within their parameters. We can go up to 3.5 million, so that's 2 million more a year for Fabian. If he likes being in Naples, why wouldn't he accept that? I don't think him earning 1.5 million now, I don't think there's going to be many clubs that are willing to offer him 4 or 5 million. Even if there are clubs that would offer him that amount, I think actually if he stays in Napoli, he's got a guaranteed starting spot. He can go and convince Luis Enrique to be in the World Cup in November. And if he has a really good Champions League run with Napoli as well in the next year, so a good Champions League, a good World Cup, thanks to Napoli, then he can leave. And, now that if he renews to 3.5 million for Napoli and then he has a really good year, then there's going to be teams that could decide to offer him 6 or 7. So for him, it's worth him taking a small step forward to then take a bigger one later, 1 year later, than taking a medium step forward now, is how I see it. And as I said, it's also very important for him to try to convince Luis Enrique to get him into that Spain squad. And I think because he's got a guaranteed starting 11 spot at Napoli, then it's his best bet to actually achieve that. Whereas, if he goes to some other team, maybe he sits on the bench. We don't know. And I'm sure he knows that. And I think there's been several clues in the last few days that suggest that he might renew. His girlfriend posted about Napoli, how she loves the city more and more each day. A bit more Fabian Ruiz content on Napoli's social media. So I'm sure that things will go in the right direction. And if not, I hope Napoli get a good 40-50 million out of him at least. I'm glad Lobotka got rid of the pizza craving and took on a Napoli craving. Yeah. Lobotka has been unreal for us this year. Is incredible. Question for Dom: how many more kits do you think De Laurentiis will bring out this season? I think one more. I think there's going to be another jersey which will have the Napoli skyline, because De Laurentiis' son Edu De Laurentiis posted like a sneak preview of that today, like just a Napoli skyline thing, and I think that's going to be on the shirt soon. So maybe one more one more jersey, guys. Number 12. Domenico Campitelli saying the Panther is coming back. Please, no, that's the worst kit ever. The Napoli with the Panther was so... didn't make any sense. Why a Panther out of all the things that he could have done? But yeah, I hope we do get one more kit just for the lols, honestly. But let's see what ADL actually had to say. So we don't always get to hear De Laurentiis speak after the game, but he's done so this time. So it's not long, but let's see what he said. So he's saying, this is De Laurentiis saying, guys, let's not talk about the Scudetto. We are happy because we won in a field, in a pitch that was extremely complicated, and so I'm very satisfied of this result, which allows us to remain second. And then we were also quite lucky because we are used to watch other people play, and you guys know what I mean by that. I actually don't know what he means by that he's used to seeing other people play usually, but I don't know. He's always very cryptic when he says stuff. Anyways, he's saying, let's keep going like this. The guys are super happy, and this is very important. We have a very important 6 days until Saturday, and we need to remain concentrated. We have a very fantastic coach, and I always said it, it's not something new what I'm saying. Insigne is a free person, and so it's normal and right that he makes his own decisions, and he made what's according to him the right decision for his future. His life is long, and with a bit of luck and good food then and good genes, then he can live until 110 years old. So he's still got 80 years ahead, and he has to think about accumulating money for another 80 years. It's not, so he's taking the piss about Insigne going for all that money. And then they ask him, what's the future of Napoli? And he says, always very strong future, which is good. I like these words from De Laurentiis, even though they're not always very clear. They're a bit cryptic at times. Do you think De Laurentiis will sell the club in the near future? It's going to be either Napoli or Bari, and I'm pretty sure ADL is pretty much done with Napoli. I think Napoli... I think De Laurentiis might sell Napoli in 2026 on the 100-year anniversary of the club. But I think right now was not a good time to sell Napoli, because I think you want to sell when the club is at its peak position, which means maybe 2-3 years of consistent Champions League football, good results, young players that are worth a lot of money. All this means that in 2-3 years, Napoli can sell Napoli for 800 million. Instead, if he sells it now, maybe he's only getting 400, 500. If he waits until things are looking better, and especially after the effects of COVID are eliminated, then that's better for him. Because let's be honest, no one's going to want to buy for a premium football club where you might get restrictions on the amount of people that can enter a stadium, and you don't know if this team is capable of being consistently in the Champions League and all that kind of stuff. So you want to, even as an investor, you want to buy a club that you know has the structure in place to do consistently well, and the macro environment around you is solid enough to support that investment. You don't want to be buying during a time when you don't know what if people are going to be allowed in stadiums yet, and all this sort of stuff. And you don't want to necessarily be selling either in this time, because people are going to want to try to negotiate that price down. So yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for the next maybe 2 years, to be honest. But I think realistically, maybe 2026, it'd be a good, it'd be like a good year to sell on the 100-year anniversary. I think it just makes for a nice little, let's move on now. we had De Laurentiis ending the 100 years, and then a new start for the next 100 years. Let's see. Spalletti's press conference, guys. That's what we are missing from the live today. So he starts talking and he says, he starts talking about Inter. So he's saying the loss of Inter, and he's saying we are either strong or we are not strong. It doesn't change anything what other teams do. Napoli needs to do what Napoli does. Napoli has been created to do Napoli. So we don't care about what other teams are doing. And then they ask him, "Are you happy that Osimhen scored?" Oh, wow. What's he supposed to say? No, I'm not happy. But anyways, he's saying he can do better than what he did today. We didn't serve him the best, which I agree, and I pointed that out as well. But the fact that he has courage is incredible. He gave that header to the ball, and it's incredible the fact that he did that after the injury that he received. The fact that he's willing to put his body, or let's say his face, on the line in order to give Napoli the 3 points. They ask him if the Scudetto is the objective, and he's saying, "I know that you guys want me to say that, but you say that to all 17 teams. We have to do what we do. We need to be serious, and we need to win all our games. But there's some very good teams around us, and teams that we have to play against still." They ask him about defensively, the fact that we are very solid defensively, and he's saying the defense had a period where we had a few problems, but then they recovered. We played this game without changes to our back four. We keep saying that there's a lot of players, but in reality, we don't have a lot of players. We only had 2 central defenders available today. So I'm even more glad of the fact that we didn't concede a goal, because obviously Koulibaly is still out and Axel Tuanzebe is injured. So that wasn't ideal for us. Talking about the game and how we handled it once we went ahead, he's saying we did pretty well, and we managed to still create the opportunity to score a second, so quite pleased with that. And the fact, and then talking again about the Scudetto, he's saying Inter is the team that has the most potential. Obviously, with these results, like the one that they had yesterday in the derby, things get put into question again, but that's not to say that it won't happen to other teams as well. I think a very bland press conference by Spalletti, trying to obviously not get too hyped up. I think that's going to be the mood that he's going to have this week, because as De Laurentiis said, the guys, the players, they're super happy. They know that with this win, they managed to claw back 3 points on Inter, and that's massive for the Scudetto. So now Spalletti has to bring them back down so that their focus remains at a maximum. Because if Spalletti starts getting ahead of himself as well, then the team's going to be even more excited, and then we could spiral out of control. So Spalletti has to always be the guy playing the he has to be the thermostat. He has to bring everything back to an equilibrium. If the team's not playing well, he has to encourage them and motivate them. If the team's playing well, he has to say, well, they could have done a little bit better, and let's not get too carried away. So the coach has to be a bit like a thermostat. Bring everything back to an equilibrium. He doesn't want to be the thermometer that reacts to whatever's happening around him. It's got to be the thermostat. So if there's one lesson for you today, it's that: be a thermostat, not a thermometer. So deep. Anyways, Cannavaro Flame is saying the customers at Saputo Cheese over Fabrizio Romano, because Brian Wood said, I have a customer that works at Saputo Cheese in Montreal. He said Montreal tried to sign Insigne multiple times. Gotta give me these contacts, man. I gotta know who this customer is, who has these contacts that knows about what Insigne was meant to be doing. I heard a left back, Matheus Oliveira, is coming to Napoli. Do you have any news about any potential new defender? Says Mafrias. Yeah, I think either him or Parisi is coming to Napoli in the summer. Obviously, the transfer window now is closed, so that's that. This is the team until the end of the season. Matteo Casale is saying, what are you talking about? Barca's back line is pretty bad. They have a few forwards, and we have the second best defense in Europe. I mean, look, the Barca game is going to be interesting, guys, because I don't know how Barca is going to play with all these new people that they have. They bought Ferran Torres, Adama Traoré, Aubameyang. I don't know if these guys are going to make the difference or not. You know, Aubameyang is still a really good player. Adama Traoré is physical. Him up against Mauro Rui, that's not going to be easy for Mauro Rui. So, yes, defensively, they're not amazing. But, guys, in attack, it's not like we've been scoring goals for fun. We've scored, one goal today thanks to Osimhen, and then we scored the second goal when it was 10v11 and, in the last minute of 10 minutes of extra time. So we're not scoring very, very easily. So, it's going to be interesting. But I do hope that Barcelona play a very open style of football, and that will allow Napoli to use Osimhen, which is I think he's going to be a key element in that game. Have Barcelona play super high, wide. Camp Nou is a very large stadium, and then Osimhen can go in through those gaps. I think that's going to be a key part of that game. But we need to serve him, so we need Lobotka and Fabian to ping him those balls. And Insigne to also be on top of his game. And I'm sure Insigne will, because Insigne, when it comes to European nights, he delivers. I don't care what anybody says about him not delivering in big games. That's just not true when it comes to European nights. Insigne always delivers in European nights. And as SSG Napoli Insider says, Barcelona-Napoli could very well be one of the best games of the season. 100%. Let's see. I think Barcelona are actually playing now against Atletico. So let's see what they're doing. They beat Atletico 4-2. Dani Alves scored a goal and got red carded. And then such random people scored. Such a weird game, honestly. Against Atletico Madrid. And actually Barca are now 4th, which means that they are in Champions League zone, which is pretty good for them. And I think it removes a bit of pressure from them having to actually do well in the Europa League, because if they are in the top 4, then they don't need the Europa League to get into the Champions League. So this is a very, very good result for us as well. The fact that Barcelona have beat Atletico Madrid. Very, very good. Obviously, they're still a long, long way away from Real Madrid, who's first. 12 points ahead, which is massive. So, guys, we have been speaking for an hour. We've gone over the player ratings. We've gone over the analysis of the game. We've gone over the stats. We've gone over the press conference. We took a look at the calendar. We know that we're playing against Inter next. I think we covered everything, guys. So I think that's it for me. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, fantastic Sunday, and hopefully we come back, we see each other again on Saturday, and we have something very positive to talk about. But until then, guys, enjoy yourselves, and as always, Forza Napoli sempre.